Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. I've been covering a lot of what's been going on over at Marvel with Kevin Feige, and there is some panic over there. There's some concern because why? Superheroes are finally losing their grasp on moviegoers, and supposedly that's a good thing for the box office, according to Yahoo. It used to be that all of the biggest movies were superhero movies, and why not? They had a brand, Marvel in particular, that they could go and introduce one story interconnected with another story. People were compelled, they were interested. But the problem is the focus became no longer telling a great story. The focus became, well, let's spread the brand further and further and further. Let's use it for our own ideology. Let's not really respect the fans who actually really care about the stories and the characters. Marvel is not out of business. Disney in particular just did great with Avatar, but that's not Marvel. And Avatar is a great example of all the excuses of, oh, well, it's, the pandemic, it's changed people's movie going forever. And meanwhile, Avatar they're up to $1.73 billion now worldwide. They're actually they look like they're going to generate a good $2 billion theatrically or more on Avatar 2, and then they'll do more money in other markets, and absolutely they're moving ahead with all the sequels. It's pretty incredible. Even Megan is doing well. Megan is that horror film with the doll, kind of like Chucky. It did way beyond expectations. In its first opening weekend, it did $45 million on a budget of $12 million. Pretty good. Really, really better than expected. And of course, it's going to be a franchise and there's going to be a Megan 2. Now, they are going to be making more and more Marvel titles. They're going to keep doing Marvel titles. DC, as you know, is launching its own DC universe of interconnected titles. What's going to happen with all this? Well, obviously, these things are going to continue to decline and do worse and worse. And they're going to have to be worried. Are they going to start to really lose money on a lot of these if they don't go back to the basics and go and court the fans who support the content? Let's check out this article. I'd like to see what you think about it too in the comments below. Superheroes are finally losing their grasp on moviegoers, and that's good for the box office. For the first time in years, DC and Marvel superhero movies failed to dominate the annual theatrical marketplace in 2022 as comic book flicks were overshadowed by big-budget franchises like Avatar: The Way of Water, Top Gun: Maverick, and Jurassic World Dominion, which rose to the top of the box office heap instead. 3 movies beating out the biggest comic book movies, with $1.5 billion, which is now $1.7, for Avatar and $1.49 billion for Top Gun. These sequels finally broke the chokehold that superheroes have held on the global box office since 2017, the last time that blockbuster movies unrelated to DC Studios or Marvel led the movie pipeline. Are audiences finally tired of superhero stories? Some Hollywood insiders say yes. You're used to maybe 1 or 2 Marvel movies a year alongside 1 DC movie, said a top studio executive who declined to be named. Now you're going to see so many per year that they're losing some of their luster, especially when factoring streaming shows like The Peacemaker and Moon Knight. But maybe the content of the movie has something to do with it. It's not just the genre. Tell me what you think of that in the comments below. Noting the shift in box office results, Box Office Pro analyst Sean Robbins observed, the butter is being spread more evenly out on the bread. Comic book films flew high, but other franchise titles flew higher. President of IMAX, Megan Colligan, said that superhero movies will likely continue to be the bedrock given their passionate global fan bases and sheer volume. The likes of Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom are expected to pull their weight in 2023, even if, as Robbins noted, none of them scream automatic #1 movie of the year. Last year may have been the transition analysts were expecting in 2020 prior to the pandemic. The superhero fall-off in 2022 was expected to take place in 2020. At the time, few experts expected a year like 2019 when Disney ruled with $12 billion out of a $41 billion global annual total, thanks to A-level Marvel installments, Star Wars sequels, animated follow-ups, and Katzenberg-era live-action remakes. Many big movies were moved out of 2019, noted Roberts. And then the likes of No Time to Die, Top Gun Maverick, Mulan, Wonder Woman 1984 ran smack dab into a global pandemic. The year 2020 began with blowout success for the R-rated non-fantastical Bad Boys for Life and a movie based on the Sonic the Hedgehog video game. Hollywood has mostly given up on non-Marvel, non-DC comic book superhero adaptation. Hollywood is realizing that comic book films not related to Marvel or DC are no safer than non-comic book franchise films. You would think they would have kind of understood that going into it, because if you don't have a massive established brand, even if you have a great concept, well, it's pretty obvious. The likes of Vin Diesel's Bloodshot or Daniel Craig's Cowboys and Aliens ditto the streaming era where Amazon's The Boys is a smash, but Netflix's Jupiter's Legacy was a costly single-season flop. Hollywood has no choice but to seek out other avenues like video games for theatrical franchise filmmaking. Well, anything that has a huge built-in passionate fan base, if you go and please that fan base, that's the gravity, that's the core, that's the base to get that fan base and everyone else they know around them who aren't even necessarily that interested in that brand hearing about it, because they'll talk about it with their friends. Their friends will see it on their social media. They'll see the enthusiasm and it'll connect to them. It's baffling how they don't talk about that. They don't talk about the segregation and the separation from the passionate fan base, the hardcore fan that will be incredible ambassadors for the brands. And you don't talk about the woke poisoning and the ideological agendas and representation that they force ahead of the priority of stories. It's those two things. Runaway budgets are a problem too. Quality is a problem too. But those two things of not respecting fans and putting ideology before story, it blows away the quality and the budget problem. Tell me what you think of that in the comments below. Former entertainment journalist and current television showrunner Luke Cage Ray Donovan. Okay, Luke Cage was the first Netflix Marvel show that I watched personally. I don't know how you feel about it, but it was the first one that I watched that I was like, all right, the first couple episodes were good, but this is not well done. Like, I'm really tired of this. This is just stretched out. It's not interesting. Perhaps it's not this person's fault. Chio Hodari Coker noted that Hollywood is finally learning some of the right lessons from the MCU pop culture dominance. The Avengers broke out and everyone tried making interconnected universes, but Marvel's success was unique unto itself. And Hollywood finally figured that out, he told The Wrap. You know what's funny about that is when they make statements like this, people don't know what they're talking about. So you want to say that Marvel's success was unique unto itself is someone that doesn't really know about interconnected universes. I was there, when they were in the early 1990s, when many independent companies launched interconnected universes. Image Comics was one of them, although their continuity and writing was non-traditional, let's say. Dark Horse did it. My company did it with Triumphant Comics. Malibu Comics did it with Ultraverse. And most successfully, Valiant did it with the Valiant universe, which really did feel like a big company. And then there were other companies that did it as well. Valiant really, of all of them, did what a comic book universe is supposed to do in terms of storytelling, continuity, but also selling comics. You have multiple titles, selling multiple titles, different titles, but selling roughly around the same amount because you had a fan of the universe. And that is something that is cultivated. That is not something that you just do on a whim because you say, oh, I'm doing an interconnected universe. No, you're not. It's not even money. It takes planning, it takes talent, it takes ability to do it. And we did it for about a year, roughly. It was quite difficult, cost a lot of money. And then we had to stop. The industry was very difficult. Coker further explained that Marvel chief Kevin Feige's universe was successful partially because it wasn't afraid to embrace that specificity, even the weirdness of a given comic book property, and that the industry is applying that notion to other franchises. If the movie works, Coker argued, audiences don't need to be spoon-fed, and Hollywood need not sand off the edges or specific quirks of a given property. Caped Crusaders aren't the only marquee characters. As marquee characters supplanted movie stars, Deadpool, bigger deal than Ryan Reynolds. DC Marvel movies enjoyed a big advantage due to their branded heroes and villains. Interconnectivity was never the main appeal, nor were the credit cookies, Easter eggs, fan theories, and other components that tend to dominate online discourse. Yes, you started to get these branded actors like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Tom Hardy's Venom. That's fine. It's because the interconnected bonds have fallen away. The storytelling is not there anymore, supporting what they're doing with these characters. People are interested in seeing Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman again. Obviously, people were very interested in seeing Henry Cavill's Superman. And we'd love to see another Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds in it because there's nothing else to look forward to. There's no story. There's no story that builds as part of a larger part of a story. It's just not there. So of course it's not because of the episodic storytelling. There is no episodic storytelling. They gave up on that. Robbins wondered if, with Avengers Endgame providing a jumping off point for some audiences, Marvel has become or may become closer to a fans-only franchise with a huge commercial ceiling akin to the Twilight Saga, the later Harry Potter and Hunger Games sequels. Does it become like those other young adult franchises, asked Robbins, or could it pull a Star Wars and still have major historical peaks with the most event-level films like Avengers, The Kang Dynasty, and Phase 5 to give us more of an insight on that. In this scenario, Marvel and DC films will continue to perform objectively well, but they will play slightly less to a general audience as those moviegoers choose other franchise films for their casual theatrical outing. Of course the movies are going to start to do less and less business. Like a good example is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Black Panther 1 broke $1 billion, very successful, was a cultural phenomenon because it was focused on that character. Wakanda Forever was World of Wakanda without Black Panther. Very disappointing. Not something people were excited, energized about. Not something people were feeling they needed to see again and again and again. So they lost the opportunity because it was just self-indulgent movie making instead of focusing on what would the fan want to see. Would you want to see Black Panther in Black Panther 2? Would you expect that? Of course you'd expect that. So why would that shave $400-500 million off the total final box office? Because you didn't deliver for the fans. Deliver for the fans, the people who really care about the characters, make sure they're getting what they want. That's why Avatar did well. That's why Maverick did well. You want to do 1.5 billion plus? Take care of the fans. Give them what they want on an established brand that you haven't already burned the bridge on. And stop burning all these bridges. That's what I think. And stop it with the ideology stuff. Make a separate movie about that if you want to. But of course these movies are going to keep becoming more and more diminished, especially as you dump more and more content and spread the brand so thin with multiple, endless, not interesting Disney Plus shows. Let me know what you think of all this, though, in the comments below. Do you think they've really gone too far with Marvel? Could they even come back? There's some people that are excited about Ant-Man 3 coming up. That's good. There are people that are certainly excited about the new Spider-Man movie coming out. People are talking about Secret Wars that they have coming, but I don't know. People, you know that you can't trust Marvel. You know you can't trust Disney. So how can you let yourself get excited about any of this stuff? Appreciate your comments below. All right, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.